attended so many homeschool orientations already. So we will not really dig deep into what homeschooling is all about. However, there are certain questions that we keep on asking ourselves, especially yung mga bagong parents, yung mga galing traditional school, considering homeschooling, or from another provider, considering another route, diba? So how do you really start? When we were thinking about this presentation, we thought about ano ba yung mga pressing concerns ng mga families, especially yung mga parents, mga nanay, di ba? Ano yung naging questions natin? And we came up with the following. First one that we would always ask ourselves, can I do it? Can I actually homeschool? Diba? Para kasing ang hirap eh. Diba? Next question. Is it enough? If I homeschool, enough ba yung gagawin ko? Enough ba yung matuturo ko? And then, next question would be, how much of my time will it take? Okay? Diba? I'm sure most of you will agree. Aside from the usual questions na sinong provider, anong curriculum, but in our innermost beings, ito yung tinatanong natin sa sarili natin. Kaya ko ba? Enough ba yung kaya ko? And will I have the time to do this? Can I do it? You ask yourself, kaya ko ba to? Eh, hindi naman ako teacher. Diba? You always question your capability to teach. Especially yung mga baguhan na parang because of the pandemic lang, kaya sila napunta sa homeschooling, diba? This is the usual questions that we ask. Kasi lumaki tayo na teacher lang ang nagtuturo, diba? Most of us, diba? Teacher ang dapat nagtuturo. And then, there's apprehension in facing this new role as a home educator, diba? Dinadoubt mo yung sarili mo, kaya parang hindi ka rin confident na ikaw yung maging educator ng anak mo. And you become overwhelmed by the big responsibility bigla, diba? Eh, nasanay lang naman tayo na, you know, you pay for the tuition, the school will give you the books and everything, and you know that your kids are in good hands. And suddenly, because of the pandemic and because of what's happening around us, diba? Suddenly, biglang parents ngayon ang in charge. So, you're overwhelmed, you're in doubt, and you're not confident. Kaya ko ba to? This is what we want to impart with you. I want you parents to read this slowly. If you can read it out loud wherever you are, to answer that doubt. Okay? Behind every child who believes in himself is a parent who believed first. You know, this could be subject to different interpretations. It could be, of course, the meaning na kids become confident because the parents believed in them first, diba? But we can also see it in a different light na because the parent believed that they can be supportive and encouraging of their children, and then their children also develop the same confidence. So can you do it? Believe in yourself that you can do it. Diba? I know it's easier said than done, but later on you will find out why you can do it. Next question is it enough? Enough ba yung matututunan ng anak ko? Magiging ka-level ba siya ng mga kaklase niya na nag-regular school pa rin? Diba? Baka mag-lag behind yung anak ko. Diba? So, ayan yung mga tanong natin. Kailangan ko ba bang gumawa pa ng mas marami? Should I do more? Should I enroll in all these classes? Should I enroll in all this stuff that I see? Diba? So, this is what we will tell you. No kid is unsmart. Every kid is a genius at something, and our job as parents is to find that thing na gustong-gusto nilang gawin and then encourage it. Diba? And why do we feel that it's not enough? What we're gonna teach them or whatever they're gonna learn in homeschool, if ever. Kasi we always compare them with others. We always compare them to other kids. We always compare us to other families. Diba? But if you just look and focus on your kid, then you'll see what would be enough for him or her. Diba? Just following their interests and their passions. Then that would be more than enough. Third, how much of my time will homeschooling take? Diba? We have so many concerns. My husband and I, we have work. I work from home. My husband works at home as well. We have a family business to take care of. I don't have helpers at home. I have multiple kids. I don't have the time because I have so much things to do, diba? Ito yung, I see this in the homeschoolers of the Philippines Facebook, no? Ang laging tanong, can you homeschool if you're working? Yes, we've seen many people do that prior to the pandemic, you know. And can you homeschool without helpers? Yes. Ang dami kong ginagawa, can I still homeschool? Yes, you still can. And the key is not really in spending time. Sabi nga ni Stephen Covey, di ba? The author of Highly Effective Individuals. Di ba? The key is not spending time, but investing it. Why is he saying that the key is not in spending time? Time is like money. Diba? So, pag sinabi mo, nagagastusin mo yung pera, may times na you feel good about it, may times that you feel bad. Kasi you spend it. So, depende kung good ba or bad yung pinaglagyan mo ng pera. It's the same with time. But when you say you're investing your time, investing is putting your money, diba, in something that would give you greater returns in the future. The same with time. You invest it in something that you value, that's important to you. And the greatest investments that you would be making would be to invest in your children. We always say that, diba? We invest in our children, not just in terms of time, but diba, our money and our resources, they all go to them, diba? Kaya nga tayo nagtatrabaho para pag-aral yung mga anak natin. I mean, parang that's the expectation from us parents. So, the concern about you spending time, then look at it this way. You are investing in your children's future. So, invest. Diba yung investments naman, pwedeng pa konti-konti. Diba? Hindi naman kailangan isang bagsak. Diba? Increments, in small increments. So, it's the same way with your time. You can invest your time in small increments throughout the day. And again, later we will explain how it will all work out. So again, given these concerns, so how do I address it? How do I address my self-confidence na medyo alanganin ngayon? How do I address my doubts na baka kulang yung maituro ko? How do I address the concern ng oras ko, oras ng family? Diba? The only answer that we can give you is that find what works for your family. This applies to finding that homeschooling style, finding the right provider, finding the right curriculum. It's always what works for your family. Kasi hindi naman one size fits all ang homeschooling. I'm sure you've heard this. I don't know. But definitely it's not a one size fits all thing. From our years of experience and being exposed also to other homeschoolers, homeschool families, we have seen how this works. What works for me may not necessarily work for Anna, and vice versa, right? She may want a structured style, it works for them. I may want something more flexible, that's us because that works for us. So why is it that it's important to find what's specific to your family? Because every family is different. Just like every one of us is different. Your family is very much different from mine and from Anna's and from the other parents here. Diba? We all have different goals. We have different setups. You may be a transitioning family. Diba? Parang nag-intay lang kami na mag-okay na para makabalik kami regular school. But for now, we will homeschool. Yeah, that may be your goal. And your setup might be, we're both working parents. Yung iba naman, may isang parent na pwedeng maging dedicated. Or yung iba naman, well, we need a tutor. It's okay. It's fine. Every family has a different setup. You have different goals. And that's fine, diba? Hindi natin pwedeng i-aim yung mga nakikita natin sa Facebook na pinopost. You know how social media is. We cannot take it at face value. We're not saying that it's bad, but we are telling you to take it with a grain of salt. Not everything we see there is a reflection of reality. Whatever is posted there, that's just a snippet of one moment in their life. And, there might be stuff there that you'd want to apply to your family, yes, but try to tweak it so that it will fit your goals and your setup. And also, how do you find what works for your family? You trust your instincts. How? You listen to your children, what they're saying. Why did we put these words in quotes? To listen is to observe how they are. Not just what they tell you na gusto nila, but the little things that they do. Ano ba yung mga pinapanood nila? Excuse me. Ano ba yung mga ginagawa nila in their free time? What books do they read? Diba? What shows do they watch? And what apps do they even use? Diba? Those are the non-verbal clues that we can look at, no? To also get an idea, ano ba yung mag-work para sa pamilya natin? Excuse me. And actually, we should rephrase this, find what works for your child more than the family. Of course, kasi it's a family thing. Homeschooling is a family thing. But let's not forget the main character, yung anak natin, diba? Minsan kasi we want to choose stuff just because we felt like maganda to. Sabi kasi ng ganitong mommy or nakita ko sa ganitong review, sa ganitong video, this is good. Or we should go this route, But ang tanong, yun ba yung mag-work sa anak mo? Others would say, paano namin malalaman kung hindi namin itatry? But there's a way to know, actually. And that's what we want to give you and your family. Diba? We want to empower you so you will know what will work for your family and for your kids. I don't know if you've seen, we've released an ad about celebrating uniqueness and about, the unique identity of our children. We at Better Together, we're all about customized education. What does customized education mean? Like what we said, diba? Each child is unique. Hindi tayo pwedeng dekahon na ngayon. This is the, what? We're on the 22nd century. Are we? 21st was last, before 2000s. We're now in the 22nd century and things are evolving. The pandemic is actually a blessing in disguise. Why? Because it paved the way for parents to learn really what homeschooling is about. Recently, there has been a debate in the Facebook group, sa Homeschoolers of the Philippines, because of the definition of homeschooling. Well, however you define homeschooling, the truth of the matter is that now everyone is doing it. And what we want you to know is that there is a way that you can make it more special for your family rather than just going with the flow. And we start with the fact that each child is unique and that each one of us learns differently. Diba? Alam na natin yan, noon pa, diba? Sinasabi nga, yung mga thumbprints natin, fingerprints, diba? They're all different, even twins, diba? They're different. And education should be tailor-fitted to the learner. Hindi mo pwedeng ipilit sa isang bata na advanced, na sumabay sa iba na on the average lang. Or vice versa. You cannot force someone who may have developmental challenges at certain points na i-push mo siyang aralin yung hindi naman pa dapat. Grade leveling is the biggest concern, diba? We always ask kami, we always get this question. My son, my daughter is 4 years old. Can they do kinder? Or they're not yet 5 years old. Can they do prep already? And then, well, normally, they would say you do a diagnostic test so that you will know. But really, what's the standard? These are kids. You cannot quantify what they should be learning. They are kids. They learn differently at this stage. It's all about play for them. It doesn't mean that she doesn't know the alphabet at 4. It doesn't mean that she's slow. It doesn't mean that she cannot be at par with the others. Her timeline is different. The same with those kids na napipilitang mag-grade 1 just because they're 6 years old already. There's emotional maturity also that we consider aside from the intellect. Take note, parents, that just because your child can read at an early age, they're showing higher cognitive skills at an early age, it doesn't mean that it is an indicator of good scholastic skills already. We are not discouraging you. It's good to, that we have kids like that, but you have to know the reality that sometimes when they're too fast at this stage, they become slower at later stages. There are studies like that, and there's even a disorder for kids na parang galing-galing, ang bata-bata pa. And then all of a sudden, some of these differences come out. Socially, they're not as adaptable, a lot of things. So that is a separate session But yes, it should be tailor-fitted to the learner. Diba? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na just because every 5-year-old is in prep, your child should be in prep. No. Anong pacing ng anak mo? 4 years old, 3 years old, gusto niya na mag-aral. It's okay. Let him play. Diba? Turuan mo ng alphabet ng palaro. You don't have to enroll. Mommies, if you have preschoolers, you don't have to enroll them. You don't have to enroll your 3 years old. My goodness, we always see this. I have a 3-year-old. He wants to study. Can we enroll? It's a debate actually, but us, we believe not yet. Let them enjoy. Let them enjoy. We have seen kids na burn out. My son, specifically, my eldest, he can read at 3. He is very good. At 2 years old, he just hates reading. He just hates studying. Kasi na-push siya, it's traditional, diba? Ano ba namang alam natin dati? Anna and I and other moms here, we've been homeschooling so long. Wala pang mga ganito. Wala namang mga nagsasabi sa amin no na huwag mong i-force yung anak mo, diba? We grew up thinking na how we were educated should be the same way that we should educate our children. Diba? So, pukpukan. And then we saw the effects. And we've seen it with other kids. And it's not good. So, let your child be, parents. Let your younger children be young and carefree. Let them enjoy. Diba? Others ask me, what's the scope and sequence for kinder? What's the, like, you have a list of skills that they should know. It differs. We cannot really measure it. Diba? Allow them some time. And then, of course, you embrace your child's uniqueness so that the love for learning will be there. Why? You force them to study stuff that they don't really like. Of course, there are things that we have to teach them, diba? The basics like math and reading. But, yun lang, diba? In terms of math, wala naman silang masyadong choice. But the choice would be how he learns. Ano ba yung effective way of teaching math? Malaro ba siya? Gusto ba niya visual? Then do that, diba? That's the uniqueness ng child na hahanapin mo. Diba? That's why we have this learning styles. So reading, yes, turuan mo siya mag-read, but don't push him to read just about anything. Diba? Yung mga batang tamad magbasa, pag binigyan mo ng graphic novels or comics, they start reading. Why? Kasi it's something that they like, they're interested in that. But if you give them textbooks, they will not read it. So those little things, yun yung sinasabi natin na listen to what your child is saying, di ba? May mga maliliit na bagay yan na minsan di natin napapansin. Because we're so overwhelmed with whatever others are saying. Oh, this curriculum is so nice. Oh, this is so nice. But, yeah, gusto ba yan ng anak mo? Diba? Kasi you might be spending so much. You might be buying the most expensive curriculum. At the end of the day, your child doesn't like it. At the end of the day, he doesn't even understand it's there. Even you as a parent, you'll get frustrated. Kasi, hindi akma. Hindi para sa kanya. So, we also believe that no child should be forced to just go with the flow. And, doing that kasi robs them of creativity. You know how in school, when we were told to do the same thing with our classmates growing up, diba? Tapos alam mo yun, may mga iba bored na sa buhay nila kasi either alam na nila yan or hindi niya talaga gets or hindi niya talaga feel. Bakit may nagka-cutting classes? Because they're not interested. Diba? And that's what makes them. Diba? When you force children to just go with the flow. You force something to them, and you don't give them any choice. You're stopping creativity. Parang suddenly they cannot think for themselves. That's why there's a generation of kabisotes. We call it kabisote. We have seen it in, this is not to, we love our country. We love, I cannot say I love DepEd, but yes, we respect them. But I adore teachers. It's hard work. But the recent generations, they are kabisote in a way that there's no critical thinking. They're like on autopilot. They're just doing this because they were told to do it. Diba? During my stint in the corporate world, I have seen younger graduates hop from one industry to another, from one company to another. Why? They cannot find what they like. Uh, we have seen people na nababurn out agad sa work. We have seen adults, young adults, who seem to, walang direction, changing courses now and then, even stopping college. Kasi, bakit? Wala nang nagdidikta sa kanila eh. Unlike in grade school and high school, you were constantly told what to do and suddenly you're on your own. Kaya nga na-invento yung adulting because they cannot really think for themselves anymore. Why? Kasi kinahon na natin sila masyado. And that's why we're trying to revolutionize education. That's why this pandemic is really a blessing. So don't look at me badly for this or, better together. But this is what we believe in. We're here not just to tell you to, homeschool. No. We're letting you know how things should be done. If you agree, then it's good, diba? But we'd like you to see what the difference is. And we'd like you to see how you can change things within your family. And eventually, you're also changing the world. You know why? Because you're creating more critical thinkers. You're raising better people. People who know what they want, people who are hard workers, people who are passionate. Did you know, parents? Harvard recently issued an article. You know how in college applications last year, entrance exams were waived. So the only basis would be the grades and some would be essays. Um, in the States, kasi you have to write essays for your college application. And the transcript is also different there as opposed to here in the Philippines. And Harvard said, more than accomplishments, what they want to see is passion. And we really took that to heart. Kami at Better Together, we want you to raise passionate kids. We want to help you raise passionate kids, not just blind followers, not just, another one in that sardine can. That's how they would usually picture traditional school dati. During my stint in UP, when I was taking educational units, they would, parang we were talking about the history of education. Bakit tayo now ganito na? The illustration was that of a sardine can with all those fishes there. And there was a different fish from there. Diba? So yun yung natin, we are manufacturing students already. So there. Actually, this traditional setup, this is actually one way back to indoctrinate kids, to indoctrinate people, because it was wartime. It was that time when Nazis are growing in power. That's when they started changing the educational system. The original setup is multi-level. What the classroom is composed of multi-level kids. That's how they would study back then. The older kids would teach the younger kids. The younger kids would know how to socialize with the older kids. That's how it was prior to the war. And then they wanted everyone to learn the same thing so that, inculcate whatever they want to tell these kids, sort of brainwash them. And, it carried on. That's why we have this traditional homeschool setup. So, yeah, just so you know where we're coming from. All right. So, Elizabeth Foss here is a homeschool mom of 9, and she's a cancer survivor. And she wrote a book on real home education. And this is also the same along the lines of Charlotte Wilson. Na they said when the atmosphere encourages learning, then it is